Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Career and Technical Education Podcast. I'm Brandon Grace.
And I'm Randall Hust.
And we're here with Chef David Gooch from the ATC. And we're going to learn a little bit about culinary arts and some fantastic ideas for Thanksgiving and how to prepare best for that.
Awesome.
So, how are you doing, David?
Pretty good.
Good. All right. So tell me a little bit about your classes. What are y'all working on right now? Those types of things.
So this week, my students have been making some double crust pies. So they're making fruit pies that have a bottom crust and a top crust. Their goal is a pie that can be completely removed from the pie tin. So we want the bottom crust to be really crisp, no soggy bottoms, and then a decorative top crust. They've made pies in their previous culinary classes before, but we're just kind of up in the game a little bit, little stiffer requirements. They just finished baking them all, and then tomorrow I'll grade them. They have to be able to be removed from the pan, and then we have to be able to slice into it. They're all fruit pies, so they have to slice into it, and then it doesn't drip.
Pie.
So
I love pie. And I saw one of your kids that she had her pie coming out and had like a face on it. Is one of your practicum students.
Yeah, my fourth year students got a little more leeway with the lab.
Yeah.
And I kind of let them use some different fruits. They were doing some strawberry rhubarb, and then they had a little even more rigor added to their pies. So I wanted something with a theme. And so our fruit pies aren't necessarily Thanksgiving themed. Some of them are doing some Halloween theme. So yeah, she did kind of a grotesque face. We used a piping tip for decorating cakes to give some volume underneath the nose and give it a shape. And yeah, she cut out eyes, and she made some decorations with the pie dough where it looked like stitches around the outside. So
That's super cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. What all different classes do you have here? Do you just teach one? You're not just one. You
Right. So I
multiple
teach advanced culinary arts, which is the third year, and then I teach practicum in culinary arts, which is our fourth year.
And here in Lubbock ISD, they can take the intro and the culinary arts one on their home campuses, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha. And so they have to take it all over here.
Yeah, and it's a very popular class. Some students can't make it in, so we've started offering. I do a summer program now, and so during the summer, students who really want in, they have to go get their food handler certificate on their own time, and that kind of shows us that they're really dedicated. They really want to be here, and so then I teach a really intense course over about 5 weeks. It's 4 hours a day to cover the Culinary 1 class, and then the next fall they get to join me in the advanced culinary.
That is so, and you've been doing that for 2 years now, right?
Yeah, 2 years now. Yeah, and that offered a lot of opportunity to some of our students who either couldn't get in or their school didn't have a kitchen, like Talkington.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's been really awesome.
So for that summer culinary program, do they actually get credit for that?
Yeah, they get credit. It goes on their transcript, and then they also get to come in and take my class. And
Gotcha.
yeah.
So it totally guarantees them a spot because we do have to turn kids away every year, and your practicum classes are huge. Like you have a lot of kiddos.
I have, I think, one of, if not the largest practicum classes in LISD right now, and I have over 30 students in my practicum. Most of them are in my last class of the day so that they can leave and go to work, but I have some that are in the earlier classes in the day. They're not leaving and going to work. They assist me. They act as my sous chef in class every day with setting up labs or even assisting other students, like the advanced culinary students. They go around. They know what I'm looking for. They've done the lab before. So they either assist me. Sometimes they work on special projects. Nice. Maybe it's the same type of lab, just like our pies that we're doing. They just do an advanced version. And then, competition season's coming up, and a lot of my practicum students are also competitors. So then if they're in my earlier day classes, they can work on that as well. Awesome. So they're about to start working on some cakes when we come back from Thanksgiving for Skills in February.
Skills USA, right on?
Yes.
Okay, very cool. Very cool.
And so you do a lot of collaboration with other classes here at the ATC I've seen over the years. Explain a couple of those that you've done. Because some of them are pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, I think the biggest one that I do, I will partner with the floral design class. And now they're in a different building, but we're still going to make it work this year. But me and Miss Sanders, we get together. My students make about 800 to 1,000 cookies, and we bake them all on skewers. And then her classes prep a whole bunch of stuff for a bouquet. And then all of our classes get together in the kitchen, and the first day I will demo how to decorate the cookies with royal icing. And every student, all of mine, all of hers, each get 5 cookies. They're all Valentine's themed. We do this usually the day before, the day of Valentine's. And they'll decorate 5 cookies. We set them out to dry overnight. The next day, Miss Sanders will do a demo, and she'll put together the cookies, talk about placement and arrangement, and make it look nice. And we build a little bouquet, wrap it in cellophane, put some curly ribbon. Every single one of my students, every one of hers gets to take home a nice little cookie bouquet on Valentine's Day. That's probably my biggest collaboration.
So it's like edible arrangements,
Yeah,
basically.
absolutely. Yeah. Some kids are eating it out the door. Others are, giving them to their significant other or parents or whoever they want.
It's fantastic. Dave, one of the things we've talked about in a lot of the classes here in Lubbock ISD, and specifically here at the ATC, are the amount of teachers that are industry professionals that came from industry. Tell us a little bit about your background and what you bring to culinary arts here.
Yeah, so I started working in kitchens when I was going to college at Texas Tech, and I realized that I really wanted a career in something that was also a hobby. And so I finished up Tech and then went straight into culinary school after that, and went to pastry school. I'd been working in restaurants, and I wanted to round out my skill set. So after working in restaurants on the savory side of things, I went to pastry school, and then I worked as a cake decorator, as a pastry chef, as a chocolatier for a couple of years. Then I moved back to Lubbock, where I'm from, and I started working as a chef of a restaurant. I was a chef de cuisine of a restaurant here for about 6-7 years. And me and my wife, she also worked in a restaurant. We wanted kids. We didn't want to raise them while working in the restaurant and being at work at night and stuff like that. And so we wanted to, both of us transitioned into teaching because we were able to still do something, teach something that we're passionate about, that's a hobby, while also I'm able to give back to the community that raised me, and I can also give back to my kitchen community by, teaching the next generation of cooks and chefs out there.
It's awesome. That is very cool.
Yeah. And you do make delicious food, by the way.
No doubt. Worst thing that happened in my diet is that my office is right across the street from his kitchen.
You should have seen me when I first started teaching before Gooch got here.
I know, right?
I don't even tell people.
Yeah.
I don't tell people anymore when I'm like putting out food. I'll just go put it out, and it's up to your own willpower whether or not.
Right.
Like all these vultures sitting around.
I remember,
there are some.
There was one day you were like, "Hey, I have something for you." So I come down there and you made a hot pocket for me, and I'm just like, "Come on, Gooch!" And I was doing keto at the time, so I couldn't say no to a hot pocket, a homemade up. So
doing keto.
It was. Now I'm off keto. Thanks, Gooch.
So we got Thanksgiving coming up.
Yeah.
So talk to us from a chef's perspective. We're going in. Some of these kids are probably going to try to help mom out with some Thanksgiving food. So
the number one thing I tell everybody is don't experiment on Thanksgiving. Experiment the week before. But you don't want to come into Thanksgiving with some sort of like crazy mac and cheese you saw on TikTok or on the internet, and then like everyone is angry at you. So experiment the week before. I think the biggest thing for me, we're working on these pies, and like I said, no soggy bottom. So a little trick that I've been showing the kids and talking about is to bake your pie on a preheated surface. So if you have a pizza stone to bake pizzas at home in your own oven, you can put that in, preheat it, and then bake your pie on top of that. And that's a little trick that will really cook the bottom of your pie crust, no soggy bottom. If you don't have one of those, don't go out and buy one. If you have a cast iron skillet or any other sort of like really heavy bottomed skillet or frying pan, you can flip it upside down, put it in your oven, let it get preheated, and then just place a pie on top of that, and it'll bake. And pies, nobody should be baking those the day of Thanksgiving. You can do all those 2-3 days ahead of time, and that really helps lower the amount of stress.
But a warm apple pie.
Hey, you can warm it up.
That's microwave it, right?
Yeah.
And so if you were talking about like something heavy and thick, could you use like a cookie sheet? Or
it depends on the cookie sheet. There are some out there that are like thick enough or heavy enough, and that's fine as long as you get it really nice and hot in the oven. You might even preheat it a little hotter and then turn it down to the right temp. But yeah, cast iron skillet is really good. Or there are some really heavy like steel cookie sheets out there that would work as well. Just be careful with like the aluminum ones. They don't transfer the heat as well.
Got it. Man.
Very cool. Very cool. What does Thanksgiving look like at the Gooch household?
I've always wondered this.
Yeah. I'm doing 3 Thanksgivings this year.
Oh, no.
So I'll do one with my family, and then the next day I'm doing kind of like a Friendsgiving where we're mostly, you don't get to cook a lot of turkey. How often do you cook turkey?
Right.
Once a year, maybe twice?
Twice a year. That's about it.
And so, there's all these cool methods out there, smoking and frying and all this stuff. And I've done all of them a couple of times, but I never do the same one over and over.
Right.
And so now this will be the 3rd year in a row I'm smoking a turkey, and I've kind of got it nailed down. So I've got a bunch of friends. We're getting together, and we're all cooking a turkey.
Nice.
So it's a potluck. We're all bringing all kinds of stuff, but we're all bringing a different turkey. So I'm bringing a smoked one, someone else is doing fried, and then the third is doing a traditional roast. And we're all prepping it in different ways, a dry brine, a wet brine,
Sure.
injected,
Sure.
different things. So that's a really fun one. My family, Thanksgiving's always been like really, really big holiday. And I have 5 brothers and sisters, so there's 6 of us.
Oh, wow.
And between the 6 of us, we have 20 kids.
Holy
Gosh.
cow.
And so
Thanksgiving at your house is very loud.
it's never everybody is there.
Gotcha.
But like it's usually at least half. So it's a lot.
Nice.
And so there's got to be a ham, there's got to be a turkey, there's at least a dozen pies.
It's awesome.
It's a lot of pie.
And then, some of my some of my in-laws are from different parts of the country, and they have different traditions, et cetera, and different things that they like or don't like. And so it just keeps growing. Like every year, like it gets bigger and bigger, like what we bring. So it's pretty massive. This year we're doing it in my sister-in-law's house. She lives in Rawls, and she's from Michigan. So we're going to do some of her family traditions, which are a little different from us down here in the South. And so that'll be fun. And then the next day I'll do my Friendsgiving. And then the Sunday after I'll do Thanksgiving with my wife's family.
Gotcha.
And so, we just...
Now, so, on a typical thing, they say the cobbler's kids never have shoes, right? A chef, like you cook all day. Do you really want to cook at home? But it sounds like cooking is really, I know it's your job, but it's really like your hobby and your passion.
So it's not the same as when teaching cooking is not the same as when I worked in a restaurant. Definitely when I was chefing it up, I'm not coming home and cooking every day. But now I do. I do now.
Gotcha.
I'm not as... You're more exhausted mentally as a teacher.
Oh, yeah.
As opposed to physically. I'm not standing in front of 500-degree ovens for 8 to 12 hours a day, and so it's a great way for me to like break out of that, like that teacher tired that you get. And so just to kind of focus in on my cooking, and me and my wife take turns every day, like who cooks dinner. And it's been a lot of fun to make it back into like a big hobby than it was when I was cooking professionally.
So one thing, kind of going away from Thanksgiving for a moment, I just thought of it, but this podcast is really to help educate, those other CTE, schools and teachers out there, and just give them some helpful tricks and tips. So a new school or a new teacher that's starting a culinary program, what is one thing you could tell them to help them be successful in the culinary?
For a new culinary teacher, and I think this is appropriate for like a lot of new teachers, but classroom management or lab management is so important, especially at the beginning of the year. And teachers don't want to come off too hard, but you can't let stuff slide. You have to stay on top of your students, especially in a lab like ours, where like cleaning is essential and safety is so important, and food safety. So I spend the first 6-7 weeks is just safety and sanitation.
Yeah.
Yes, my students are getting a certification as part of that, but one of my first years teaching, I tried doing it like once or twice a week. We'd focus on the our certification test, and we'd study for it, and then we took it at the end of the year. And ever since I switched to doing it all at the beginning of the year, my passing rate this year was 90%.
Wow.
For a test that's designed for adults. And so, it's just like, it's made me way more successful. It's making my kids more successful to really pound that stuff in at the beginning of the year. So focus on your classroom management, focus on your safety and sanitation.
And so the test you give is Serve Safe, right?
Yeah, we get my students take the Serve Safe Manager Certificate class.
Yeah, they have to already have food handlers before they
Yeah,
ever
they have to have
come
their
in,
food
right?
handlers before they come in, and then I'm a registered proctor and instructor with the National Restaurant Association, and so I give the Serve Safe Manager Certificate. Yeah, and it does wonders for the kids. It helps them. A lot of them are working in food service, even if they don't want a career in food service. If they're going to college, I think the statistic is 70 to 80% of college students work in hospitality
Right.
or retail. And so even if they don't want a career, this is a life skill for them, which is great. They're probably at some point still going to need that certificate while they're in college. Maybe it'll get them a promotion or just get a job while they're in college. And that's always important. So
Pay some bills. Yeah.
yeah.
Right. And so with you're getting jobs, and you're working with the Lubbock Restaurant Association. So how important are those partnerships in having if I can say, successful culinary classroom?
Oh man, it's so important because I've noticed the students, they have a great respect for real life. So if you can relate anything to real life, anytime I share personal stories from my career about hiring and firing people, stuff like that. So having those partners come in, that's actually what I'm doing when we come back from Christmas break. I'm partnering with our automotive department, and we've decided we're going to get all of our classes together, and me and the automotive teacher are both bringing in industry professionals. I'm bringing in a chef who's on TV, Chef Angie, and she is going to talk to my students about her hiring process. And then I'm having another owner of a restaurant who owns a restaurant that's been around in Lubbock for 60 years. And he's also going to talk about their hiring practices, who they hire and why. And then the automotive teacher is doing the same thing, because we want these kids to see that it doesn't matter what profession you're in, we're looking for the same skills. Right? Like they're not anybody. My kids love the movie Ratatouille, and the motto is anybody can cook. And so that's the thing I teach. I can teach you how to cook, but I can't teach you to show up on time.
That's right.
Like you just have to have that work ethic yourself. And so having those professionals come in and really relate those personal stories, talk about real world experiences, that does so much for my students.
Right.
That's awesome.
Well, David, thank you so much for hanging out with us today and
no
giving
problem.
us some wisdom. And I know you've brought amazing things to our programs here. Our level of kid that we're producing, thanks to what you bring, is bar none. And we hear it from the industry partners as well. So
Awesome.
Hear from the kids too.
We hear from the
Yeah,
kids.
I mean the kids love your classes, and a lot of these kids go out there and they're better for it because you do great things throughout the community and with our students. So, but yeah, thanks for being here with us.
Yeah.
It's always good hanging out with you.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Can't wait to do it again.
And we want to tell you all happy Thanksgiving, and we
That's
hope
right.
that you and your family have a great break and have a chance to be thankful for everything that we have.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.